Hey, Gun Talk fans, on this episode, we're talking turkey. Ryan's taking over the channel and talking with Chris Ellis of Timney Triggers. Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by Sauer, ATN, the future of optics, Timney Triggers, the world's best triggers, and Hodgdon, the gunpowder people.
Hey, welcome into Gun Talk Hunt. I'll be your host today, Ryan Gresham, not Kevin Jarnigan, KJ, and we are on location. So if you're watching this, it looks different. If you're listening to it, it probably sounds a little bit different because here with my good buddy, Chris Ellis.
And my water bottle.
I know, we are outside. We are here at the Timney Triggers World Headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks for having us in, man.
Man, thank you guys for showing up. It's always a joy. I've always liked working with the Gresham boys and the Gun Talk, so this has been a dream come true this week to have you guys out here.
It's fun. And
yeah.
So you guys have this cool little side courtyard and this that's why you're gonna hear planes, trains, and automobiles probably in this, but this kind of ties into it's the first time I've come to this location for you guys, and I get the sense, I work with you and John, Nate, and some of the different people, and there's a cool crew, but when I see the whole picture, there's a really cool culture here at Timney.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of different. And I was talking to a couple of guys earlier one of the guys, I think he's in his like 91st day of working here, and he's like, yeah, this place is different.
Oh, I tell people, I get to interview a lot of people, been around Timney for so long, and I tell them Timney is a very unique business. Everybody talks about having a family-owned business and a family culture, and we are a family culture, but we strive to be for each other. We're a small organization. We're customer-focused, customer-centric, in the fact that we really take pride in making the best triggers in the world for the best customers in the world, best trigger men and women in the world, by just being for each other and listening to each other very generously, being able to speak straight. Yeah. Hey, Ryan, man, you're falling down this week a little bit. How can we help you?
Yeah.
How can we help you if you're in testing or shipping or production or whatever? And we all just jump in and say, we're family.
Right.
Somebody asks for help in your family, you help them.
Right.
You can go out back and cuss a little bit and, kick your tires. But if a family member asks for help, we do the same thing with our employees. If an employee asks for help, they're not in trouble. We all get in situations where, hey man, I need some help this week.
Yeah.
We all jump in there and get it done because we know that there's going to be pinch points in business. Business is business. There's going to be times when everything is fancy and great.
Right.
And there's going to be times when certain areas just happen to fall a little bit. And just like when a family member or a good friend says, hey, can you help me? Well, sure, I can help you. How can we help you?
Yeah.
We jump in there and get it done.
Just to get the job done.
Just get the job done. Take care of the customer.
That's
right?
good.
And
so we were telling stories last night around the barbecue grill, and this is what we do, right? We were eating bison burgers.
Yes, we were.
And the reason we were eating bison burgers is because you and John did a bison hunt this past year, is that right?
Yep, we did. We went to northern New Mexico, and, I got to be careful here because I've always had this vision. I've been to Yellowstone. I've seen wild buffalo. I've always had this vision of Americana and a North American huge game animal. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the history of the buffalo, they used to be everywhere.
Right.
I mean, even in West Virginia, all the way down to, in the deep South, they were all across this country. And it's part of Americana's culture, and how we hunted them, how we moved them around, what we did with them. So whether you're a pro buffalo or you think they're all behind pens or whatever, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They're still a magnificent animal. And to see them in the wild is, to me, fascinating. Think about when people go through the Lamar Valley of Yellowstone and just are fascinated by these giant, huge animals. But I tell you, between us hunters, it's a weird feeling when you walk out with a rifle and a tag, and now you're thinking, okay, how am I going to hunt this thing?
Because it's huge.
It's huge. How am I going to shot placement, bullet construction, caliber, all that kind of stuff? It's just a weird feeling when you actually get, traditionally they've never been a hard animal to hunt, obviously. Mm-hmm. There's no predators.
Right.
They're bigger than meaner than everybody else. And they stand there and say, okay, what do you want?
Right.
And
they're not scared.
We know every year in Yellowstone, how many people go try to take their pictures too close or whatever, and they're not against stomping you.
Yeah.
But the reason why I wanted to actually harvest a buffalo was I wanted to touch the animal the way in a hunter's perspective. Hunter-gatherer, maybe it's just DNA, whatever, but I wanted to have that same feeling as a frontiersman or people moving west that use these things for everything from subsistence to clothing to whatever. But they used every part of them.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to find the spirit of the hunter that I know was in me with that national symbol of Americana. Plus, they eat really, really, really
They're really
well.
tasty.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Well, that's a good point because there are certain animals for a hunter that hold a special place.
Yes.
And it's more than doing the hunt and harvesting the animal. It's a whole nother thing. And buffalo are kind of special in that way.
Oh, yes.
And along those lines, I love the choice you made. What did you decide to hunt the buffalo with?
Well, I am an old soul, so I thought a 45-70 cartridge would be an appropriate way. I know it's a brand new rifle. I get it, but for me, it was just a throwback of an old Americana cartridge. An old 45-70 lever gun out on the high prairie, right below the Rocky Mountains. To me, it just seemed fitting. And I'm not a cowboy. I don't want to be a cowboy.
Right.
But it just seemed appropriate to me.
But a lot of people do that. A lot of people, because buffalo, like you said, it's a special situation to hunt one, and it's not necessarily one where you're like, it's not maybe, I don't know, it's hard to hunt them perhaps, but people will go kind of old school with their choice in all things, including the gun, the cartridge caliber, the bullet construction. Heck, some people will dress up like Davy Crockett or something,
Well, to your point, I mean, a lot of hunters are that way. I mean, that's why Timney makes so many daggone triggers, right? The fun of any activity is the anticipation and the planning, and then sometimes the recollection of that activity is as important as the activity itself. And as gun people, Second Amendment gun people, tinkering around with guns on brighter days, like building an elk gun.
Right.
Well, truth be told, a 270 will work for anything. I mean, Jack O'Connor told us that many years ago. But for a lot of people, they're like, man, what if I got a 28 Nosler? That's a new cartridge, and what if I build it on this platform, and what if I screwed this barrel on there, and I put a Timney in there to make me more accurate, and I got a good piece of glass, and that's what makes tinkering around with firearms and hunting, that much more fun. Yeah, is the anticipation. So yes, could I have taken a 30-06 and went on a buffalo hunt? Sure. Could I have taken a 270? I mean, all these things are proven.
Yeah. We don't tell people that you could just use a 30-06 for everything.
Right.
That's, I know you can, but it's not fun. You want some variety. It's the spice of life.
Yep, exactly. but honing that firearm for that specific hunt, or for, a lot of people have a Western, and that's common. I mean, you think about Remington 700, 7mm Remington Magnum back in the 60s were designed for Eastern hunters to go elk hunting. So we've done that in the past. That's part of our culture. But nowadays, we're just so blessed with having so many quality components to build these rifles off of. If you think about it, when I was growing up, you bought a rifle and it pretty much was what it was. You may save up some cash and put in a little bit of scope on there, or you may tinker around with it on a perfect little hand load or whatever, or you may want to replace the trigger one of these days. But nowadays, ammunition and the components and the accessories and the availability and the amount of different ways you can go to customize this thing for that experience in the field, like that 45-70, I'll never shoot another buffalo again.
Right.
I mean, maybe, but I doubt it.
You check the box. It was a cool experience. Yeah.
And that 45-70, I'm sure I'll take it on a hunt or two, before I leave this earth. But, to me, I can always look at that on a cold February day, take it out of the gun cabinet, kind of put it on there, maybe enjoy a bison burger, or maybe a little piece of loin or something.
It's going to take you about 4 years to eat through all that.
That's bison. Right. and I'm there for my little brain in that situation. Man, I'm Jeremiah Johnson for the day.
Right. Yes.
I went out west in the Great Plains and I shot a buffalo with a 45-70. Again, it's totally individual on it's a little bit selfish, but we always, as hunters, are always anticipating what's next. If we didn't, we wouldn't get up in the middle of the night. We wouldn't go out when it was raining. You know, we
Yeah.
do those for the experiences so that we can catalog those experiences in the back of our head for when we're having days that aren't so great,
Right.
you know?
Yes.
Because the world, I talk to my son about this all the time, the world gets really good at getting comfortable, and they're not used to being uncomfortable. But you never remember, we were sitting out there at Timney, and it was the most pretty day we've had all year. We never remember that. We remember the rotten days or the duck
Yes.
hunting days.
It's what makes the good stories is
Yeah.
when stuff goes bad, we got stuck in the mud, we ran aground on a sandbar.
Yep.
Those are the stories. If you go out and you know you shot your limit ducks in 15 minutes and then you went back and had breakfast, it's cool for that day. You might tell your buddies,
Yeah.
wow, we had a busy hunt, but it may have just been in a way almost uneventful.
Yep.
The eventful part is the unexpected part,
And
the hard part.
this is a great illustration for me. This is my 32nd spring of chasing the wild turkey, and I will continue to chase the wild turkey until I can no longer do that. But I remember the ones that whipped me much more than I remember the ones that I whipped.
Yes.
And that's the way it's supposed to be.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk more about wild turkeys.
Timney Triggers. You know, Timney Triggers. They have been producing quality triggers, starting out with the Mauser, the Enfields, that kind of stuff. 75 years ago. That's a long time to dedicate your sole business to making people shoot better. And Timney does it fantastically. Timneys are easy to install because no gunsmiths needed. I put them in, and trust me, I am no gunsmith, but you can upgrade your hunting season with a Calvin Elite Custom Remington Model 700, a Tikka T3 trigger, or the Weatherby Vanguard. I know there's a lot of those out there, but you can find out more at timneytriggers.com. And ATN Optics, they are known as the future of optics. So they have a wide array of smart optics. This gives you one-shot zero. They've all kinds of stuff built into these, which honestly are kind of smarter than I am. But ATN Optics, they do a great job. They provide top-of-the-line performance with state-of-the-art technology in thermal and digital day and night options. So find your next optic and your next hunting partner at atncorp.com.
So I probably told this story on one of our podcasts, but I recently got my first turkey.
I'm proud of you.
And
Welcome to
I'm
the
like,
10th Legion, pal.
yeah, I'm going, oh crap, I need to go find more ways to kill more turkeys because this is cool.
Yeah.
This is a totally different. What's cool about it, and I'm probably preaching to some of the choir, but like, okay, you've got spring turkey season.
Sure.
So now you've got another time of the year where you can find something to go hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But you were just starting to say the turkeys that got away, and probably if somebody's not familiar with it, they're going, I don't understand how it can get away. It's a turkey, it comes in, you shoot with a shotgun and whatever.
Yeah.
You've probably got some ones that still stay in your mind.
I've been haunted by turkeys. I mean, I live in West Virginia and we have turkeys. We don't have turkeys like some places in the country. Our population is stable, but it's always in flux, right? I mean, That's just the way wild populations are. Some years you have banner with good hatches 2 years ago. Some years it's a little leaner and that kind of stuff. But I've been fortunate to hunt turkeys all across the country, and West Virginia is one of the trickiest places to hunt. It just is.
Is it because of the topography, the up and down?
Yeah. So West Virginia is like your crumpled up piece of paper, right? There's just all kinds of nooks and crannies, and when you're calling to that turkey, or that turkey decides that he's going to actually turn around and come towards you, there's lots of things that he can get hung up on. There's terrain.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and I'm not boo-hoo-hoo, woe is me, because I've hunted turkeys there my whole life, but it'll be interesting. So tomorrow we'll start our final week of turkey season, 5 weeks in West Virginia, and I've hunted, except for this trip, I've hunted there every day.
Okay.
Not from daylight to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but from daylight to maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock or
You've
whatever.
gotten out in the woods every day.
Every day, and I'll do that every day of season that I'm able to. And I got lucky this year. I've killed one turkey in West Virginia.
Okay.
And people ask me all the time, hey, how many turkeys you killed? Well, lots of times I'll say, I haven't killed any. Have you been hunting? Yeah, every day. Every morning I go out on the farm and hunt. And you haven't killed? No. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
And if you're a tenured or a little bit long in the tooth turkey hunter, you realize that getting whipped up by a turkey is perfectly okay. the ones you kill are the exception, not the norm.
Yeah.
You know,
They're pretty smart. They've got good eyesight,
phenomenal eyesight.
not so good smell,
Nope.
and they're better. They're better. I mean, they can fly. I mean,
Sure, but they'd rather run.
They'd rather run.
Yep. Yep.
What is it that appeals to you about turkey hunting so much?
So my brother and I, we grew up in West Virginia where everybody hunted, but primarily by saying that back then, everybody was a semi-squirrel hunter and an occasional deer hunter. Bow hunting was just, I mean, it'd been around, but it wasn't as popular as it was now. So in my circle of friends and friends' family and that kind of stuff, I got very fortunate to where I ran into an uncle of my best friend who was a turkey hunter, and that's the only thing he did. Now, he was a cool cat, right? So you got to remember, when you're young,
All he did was turkey hunting. He was probably kind of a weird bird,
weird dude.
well, so to speak.
Weird and very, he wasn't a deer hunter, he wasn't a squirrel hunter, he wasn't a grouse hunter, he was a turkey hunter. And what made him unique was he was a turkey hunter. I honestly do believe that he would be just fine if he was the only one in West Virginia that turkey hunted. He was so tight-lipped.
Yeah.
Like, he killed a lot of turkeys, but he was not willing to tell you how he did it or where he did it or any of the tips or tactics or whatever.
Yeah.
My brother, when he went to college, had a roommate whose dad was a fall turkey hunter.
Okay.
But his difference was he was very passionate about telling you how to use the calls, how to bust them up in the fall, how to call them back in, how to find turkeys. And he just really was an open book. And that's all it took from my brother and I, was just a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
We took that knowledge and we just started turkey hunting. We knew that we had to sit still. We knew we had to get to the tallest mountain peak in West Virginia on that property we were able to hunt way before daylight. We knew if we heard one gobble, that was a great day. If he gobbled back at something we did, that was a victory. I mean, that was like, holy
That's like
moly,
a win.
we just made a turkey gobble. And we just started teaching ourselves how to turkey hunt by screwing everything up and saying, oh, let's don't do that again, right?
Yeah.
You know, let's don't call on especially. So to me, it was a thing that I did with my brother that was self-taught. And because we went through the school of hard knocks, we learned to respect the bird and respect the season in a little different way that is portrayed nowadays, where everybody, you know, with social media and that kind of stuff, the norm is 10 minutes after daylight, you hang a picture up for the camera.
Right.
You know, back then we went many years without killing a turkey.
All right. So you mentioned fall, and I said, well, it's a spring turkey, but there are fall seasons.
Yeah.
What is the difference for you as a hunter? What's the difference between a fall turkey hunt and a spring turkey hunt?
Very, very simply. Fall is all about mating season and sex, just to be honest with you. I mean,
It's like being in rut.
It's exactly like being in a rut for whitetail hunters. And you use that period of being in rut or actively breeding as an advantage to get close to the bird.
Hen calls.
Hen calls.
Yeah.
The gobbler's very vocal. You know where he's at, especially right before daylight and when he first flies down with his hens. So that's a different thing. In the fall, it's all about tactics. It's all about finding the turkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all about using the land to your advantage. If you can bust them up, they have a strong sense to reassemble back together. Because a lot of these turkeys have never been alone.
So you try to bust them up?
Yeah.
And then make them come to you?
Correct. Yeah. So in the Appalachians, especially in West Virginia, there's pockets where people have used dogs, turkey dogs.
Turkey dogs.
Yeah. Very common in the
What kind of
Appalachian
dogs?
areas of PA, West Virginia, Virginia, where you get a lot of generational people who hunt with dogs, and the dogs go out and not only do they find the turkeys, they bust them up and bark.
Yeah.
So you're walking through the woods and all of a sudden you hear your dog barking over there like, oh, he just busted up a bunch of turkeys. You go to where the site was, you capture your dog, grab your dog, put the dog underneath your legs,
Tell them to be quiet.
put a little piece of camouflage over him, tell him to be
Okay.
quiet. But then you actively start calling, and it's really cool in the fall because they make all kinds of vocalizations.
Wow.
It's not based on mating, it's based on just talking to each other.
Now, wait a minute. What kind of dogs do they use as turkey dogs?
Well, golly, you could write a book about that. But they're essentially flushing dogs that bark. They don't point, they flush, but they bark when they flush the turkey, and they bark loud, and they bark a lot.
Okay.
So that you can hear them.
I'm thinking like a flushing dog, like an English cocker.
No, a lot of them, there's all kinds of, just like a squirrel dog. I mean, squirrel dogs can come in all different, you can have sight dogs, scent dogs, hearing dogs. But the ones that I've seen mostly, this is speaking in generalities, is think of a pointing dog, English pointer type dog, little blockhead, kind of big and bulky because he's used to running in, the Appalachian hills and stuff. So he's kind of a pointing dog that doesn't point, but is kind of a misfit Tory that has learned to hunt for his owner by chasing turkeys.
Because usually with a pointing dog, what you're really doing with a pointing dog is they have the stalking in them, but you're teaching them to stop before they flush the birds.
Right. And then a turkey dog, you're teaching them not to sneak. You're teaching them
just
to
run up in there.
Run in there and bark, bark, bark. And when this one runs that way, bark, bark, bark that way, then come back and run this one this way because you really want a great scatter.
Yeah.
But it's becoming it's kind of like squirrel dogs. I've kept squirrel dogs my whole life. There's pockets where it kind of comes in vogue and people introduce new breeds and new training techniques and that kind of stuff. Just like you can train just about any dog to bark on a squirrel at a bird feeder, just by praise.
Yeah.
But you can't teach one to tree it by sight or by scent you can usually by sight, but not by scent and hearing and that kind of stuff. So there are people that have kept turkey dogs for generations and generations.
Wow.
And I've been fortunate to hunt with a bunch of them. And I've shot a lot of them in the fall. I enjoy the fall hunting. I usually spend at least a week or two every fall walking around in the wide open big country in the Appalachians in search for turkeys. Don't care if I kill one or not, but I sure do like to hear them talk.
Is it generally better in the spring or the fall? I mean, spring is what you think of.
Yeah, totally different sport. A lot of people don't understand the fall hunting because they just weren't brought up around it. They understand turkey hunting as a spring deal. And then there's a lot of people that hunt only in the fall that don't get the spring deal. They're like, I don't understand how you could sit in a tent and put a decoy out and call.
Right.
I mean, I'm used to roaming in the Mon National Forest for miles and miles and miles to find a flock of turkeys.
Right.
Hopefully turkeys that you can bust up and call back.
That's a cool deal. So you get kind of where they were.
Yeah.
And start calling. They're like, oh, let's all group up together.
Yeah, I mean, again, you'll have we can go as deep as you want to, or depending on your audience, but it depends on the flock. If you've got a bunch of hens together, hens and jennies together, and maybe it's a couple different family groups, and the younger turkeys just have never been alone.
Yeah.
Or you get a flock of young gobblers together. It's a lot of fun. And they just been piling around since they've been born, and they haven't been, and then all of a sudden, they get spooked, and they get spooked by coyotes and bears and everything else. They're turkeys, they get spooked by everything. But all of a sudden, they're spooked, and now they go, okay, the coast is clear. So then you get a little bit of calling over here. Hey, where you at?
Mm-hmm.
I'm over here. Where's my buddy? He's over here.
Yeah.
And they just start communicating together. And if you like turkey vocalizations, it's a good time to hear all kinds of gobbler yelps and jake yelps and all kinds of different kikis and things that you typically don't hear in the spring. Spring is more of a actively calling, using female calls towards the gobblers, your clucks and your purrs and your yelps and that kind of stuff. Don't take me wrong. I'm going to hunt every spring I can, as many states as I can. I'm addicted afflicted by the wild turkey, no doubt about it. But in both cases, as I got older, I understand, and I'm not the only person that thinks this way. It's okay if the bird wins.
Yeah.
You don't have to go turkey hunting for 2 days, and if you don't kill one, forget it. I'm not going to hunt the rest of the season. No, just go out there and I hunt old school. I hunt primarily just with a shotgun and some camo and 1 or 2 calls, and I like to walk a long ways.
Bring a decoy?
Usually I don't use decoys.
Really?
And usually I don't prefer to hunt out of tents or blinds unless it's raining.
Yeah.
I despise field turkeys, so I'd rather find them in the woods. I'd rather call them in. This is where I was raised, right? West Virginia.
Yeah.
In the heart of it, we're mostly forested. Sure, we got a few little fields here and there, but I'm used to hunting the wild turkey in the woods.
Yeah.
Now, I have shot them in several states where you're hunting the field turkeys, and you can call them from a long ways, and they are very receptive to you hunted Osceolas. They love a decoy.
Yeah.
And they have a pecking order, and when all of a sudden they go around the corner and they see somebody that's not in the pecking order, they're like, Oh, we're going to whip him. You know, he doesn't belong here.
All right, so when we come back, I want to talk about the differences in the different types of turkeys and Chris's tips for getting into turkey hunting.
Hodgdon Powder Company, you know them, you love them. Over 75 years in the powder business, Hodgdon and the Hodgdon family of employees have been passionate about hunting and shooting sports for a while. They are the largest U.S. supplier of smokeless powder and black powder substitute propellants. Hodgdon continues to expand with the addition of accurate powders and ram shot to the family, and they also do the Stayball 6.5 powder. So I just picked this up at the gun store this week. I actually found some and I was so excited. I bought 2 pounds of it. But if you want to learn more, and if you're getting into reloading, which I am that guy, you need to look at hodgdonreloading.com to learn more. Sig Sauer. Man, I cannot sing the cross praises too high. I like it so much, I custom Cerakoted it. Okay, like that's when I know I've got a problem. I know I've got a problem when I start Cerakoting to my specifications. But the Sig Sauer is available in 277 Sig Fury, 6.5 Creedmoor, and 308. I know those are all great cartridges, and if you can find 277 Sig Fury ammo, good luck to you, sir. Good luck. But weighing in under 6.5 pounds, the Cross rifle is the lightest, most portable rifle in its class, folding precision stock, designed and built here in the U.S. of A. So go find out more at sigsauer.com.
All right, so Chris, the different types of turkeys, I mean, they're not just different colors.
Right.
I mean, they act different, they do things differently.
Correct.
I mean, do you have a favorite or?
Eastern's my favorite, baby.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why is
they're
that?
all the same. Yes, I believe they're subspecies. It's been proven there are subspecies. So I'm not gonna get into that. But they all act like turkeys.
Yeah.
But there's little minutiae in between how they act, like a Rocky Mountain turkey versus a South Florida turkey versus a Oklahoma turkey, or a Texas turkey versus an Eastern turkey. But the principles are the same.
Some taste like jalapenos.
Yeah, but I am truly an Appalachian, unabashed Appalachian.
Yes.
So I'd rather be in somewhere in the Eastern Rocky or Eastern Appalachians to hunt them. Yeah.
And what are you typically if you're hunting Eastern turkeys? I mean, somebody goes, sounds cool, but I don't know if somebody comes to you and says, Chris, I want to get into this. What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? I mean, do I have to be a good turkey caller, or is there an easy way to start out?
I have this conversation a lot because my brother and I have, like I said, this is our 32nd season of turkey hunting. And looking back on it, we've probably taken more people who've never turkey hunting than we've hunted together ourselves. Like, for example, tomorrow when I fly home, I'm going to have a short turnaround, maybe get an hour or two sleep, and I'm picking up a new hunter, and we're going to the Mon National Forest, and he just wants to see what it's all about.
Really?
Yeah. So the best way to go turkey hunting is just low expectations, find a nice piece of ground, learn to use any call. To me, calling and turkey hunting is important, but it's not as important as learning to sit still, learning how to be quiet enough, but still be able to move around when you need to make a move on a turkey that's going a different direction or is hung up on something. But basically, it's just learning how to be woodwise and learning a little bit about the characteristics of the wild turkey.
I mean, how do you find, because you go, let me go into a piece of woods and sit.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, like, what now?
So here's what we're going to, so here's my new hunter approach that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do when I get home. Is I'm going to go to a national forest, and they have plenty of maps and that kind of stuff. A lot of the national forests will have gates that are closed during hunting season and open when they're not, for people that like to ride bikes or, take drive tours or whatever. So I've located on a map an area of the Mon National Forest that has gated roads. I will be at that gated road well before daylight. We will get out of the truck. We will walk to an area where we can hear our sound. I can cover a lot of land just with my ears. And we'll let Mother Nature wake up, we'll let the morning wake up, and we will probably and hopefully hear a turkey gobble. That's step one. Now I know where there is a turkey. Then my next goal is to get in that turkey's zip code as quietly and quickly as possible before he has a chance to fly down and gather with his hens.
Because he's typically going to be roosted in a tree
Yep.
overnight.
Yeah, and here's his deal is he's been doing this every morning. He's been up there alone all night, so he's just gobbling. He's exciting, it's breeding season. He's gonna fly down and he is going to perform for his ladies. He's gonna gobble, he's gonna be in full strut, he's gonna prance around, and the way nature works is the hens come to him. Their job is to figure out which one of these tom turkeys is the best for the survival of the species. No one knows how they do this. At least I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy's got a little bit longer beard. Maybe this guy's got a bigger waddle. Maybe this guy's got a deeper gobble, whatever. But she determines, hey man, the guy is the best for the survival of the species. And then they do their thing and he follows around forever. So if you can get there in the dark or just as it starts to get daylight and you can get him, he's calling to you. You make a call, a female turkey call, a hen call with any type of device, and he gobbles back at you, you got a shot.
Yeah.
He's going to fly down and he's either going to be interested in coming over, hey, this sounds sexy enough or interesting enough, maybe I'll go over and take a look. He's going to come over and take a look. Maybe you get a shot. Maybe he walks away with these hens, whatever. But now you know where a turkey is. Now you can actively call to it, and then you just got to become a hunter.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. And you're going to get your butt kicked a lot. And I'm just telling you, that is perfectly fine.
And it's okay. It's fun just being out there.
It's okay. It's
playing chess with the turkeys.
Yeah, I had a weird turkey hunt. This has happened to me several times, but not exactly this way. I was hunting this piece of property, and I know to climb clear to the top, and I got a steep gorge to my right with a river, and then I just got a bunch of broken land to my left. I mean, just it ain't the Rocky Mountains, but it's high for the Appalachians.
Yeah.
So I can hear forever up there, and the fog starts rolling in, and it's just one of those mornings I'm thinking, there's nothing going to be gobbling. It's foggy. Songbirds aren't even chirping. I hear a turkey gobble 2 ridges over.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where he's at. So I take off, and I use Woodwise to get above this turkey at daylight, and I'm sitting there, and I'm actively calling this turkey, and this turkey's gobbling down in this holler. I mean, just hammering gobbling. So I get set up, face mask, gloves on, gun on my knee, pointing that direction. Life's good. I see something out of the corner of my eye, and it's a coyote. He's coming in. I'm thinking, oh, that coyote's coming in. Well, as a wildlife conservation guy, I mean, I kind of owe to the critter to take one of the predators out, right?
Yeah,
I mean, a nest robin.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, ethically, I should probably shoot this coyote. But the turkey is literally coming and gobbling like crazy.
Yeah.
And just in a nanosecond, as I'm trying to put this all together, the coyote catches my wind and bolts. And I'm like, man, I should have shot that coyote. Why did I let that coyote go? Then all of a sudden, the coyote runs over, and it's like in the fall. He must have, I couldn't see this, I have no way of proving it, but he must have busted up a bunch of these turkeys because they were.
He ran through them.
They were making all kinds of fall-like, turkey calls and assembly calls and Jake yelps and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, the hunt's over. The hunt's over. I screwed it up. Once again, I'm 50-year-old male, and I screwed up another turkey hunt, which is common for me. So I'm just sitting there kind of breathing hard a little bit and kind of frustrated. And I catch something out of my corner of my eye, and here comes a gobbler.
Really?
And I'm thinking, well, this isn't the dominant gobbler that's down in that holler gobbling his head off at me. This is a walk-on sneaky turkey.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, well, I might have an opportunity here because Johnny just got ran out of the country with a coat and all his girls. Might leave the door open for me.
He was the last man standing at the bar.
Last man standing at the bar. So he comes in, touched off the Timney 870 shotgun, which is a totally another episode we could have one of these days, and went down there. And when I put my hand on that turkey and looked up that steep mountain, I thought, that was a unique turkey hunt.
Yeah.
I thought I've seen it all in the turkey woods, but I've never had a coyote mess up my hunt and then maybe been a cause for another gobbler to have a chance to sneak in on my calls. And it was kind of neat. So I called my brother and I said, because we've had coyotes come into our call, my son and I have too, and a couple of different states. It's not uncommon to have a coyote come into a turkey call, but typically the hunt's over,
Yeah.
And one way or the other, whether you take a predator out of the equation or you just bust everything up. This one, somehow I won. Somehow I got to take that turkey home and, and put him out on the smoker for about 4 hours and wrap him in bacon and enjoy a presentation meal with my wife.
Sometimes a blind squirrel finds an acorn, you know?
Yeah, but I could sit here and talk about turkey hunting forever and ever. Thank you for listening, and congratulations on your first turkey.
Oh man, I'm excited, and now I'm gonna kind of start planning for next season of where to head on the next one, because I kind of started off with a cool one down in South Florida.
That's a hard one too. I mean,
And,
it's a great opportunity.
So it's a pretty cool start. But thanks for being on with us.
Well, you come to West Virginia, and you always have a place to stay at my house, and I got a farm, several farms there. One of mine's 20 minutes away. Just come up there, and we'll just get our butts kicked by a bunch of turkeys.
Yeah.
You get a good breakfast out of the deal.
Get an education.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Absolutely.
There you go. That's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Hunt.